Ahead of these cold temperatures, you may be wondering how you can keep yourself warm and safe this weekend. We spoke with fire officials at Columbia County Fire Rescue to see how you can prevent fires while using heat sources. Our Will Volk is live in studio. And Will, how can we prevent our home from catching on fire this weekend?
Well, Zaina, we spoke to a lieutenant with Columbia County Fire Rescue, and he told us they get multiple calls around this time of year about fires started from supplemental heat sources. Now, that means things like chimneys or space heaters. If you do use a space heater, he recommends making sure it has a specific safety feature. He says newer units have a safety switch that will cause them to automatically shut off if they get knocked over. He says to keep space heaters away from pets and children to lower the chances of that happening in the first place. He also told us chimney fires are one of the most common causes.
Chimney fires occur in houses that are using natural wood for wood-burning fireplaces. And those chimney fires usually are caused because chimneys are not inspected or they haven't been used in a number of years.
And he also says if you're tempted to use your oven to heat your home, don't. It could be a big safety hazard. So he recommends using your oven just for cooking.
That's right. We do not certainly want any of those disasters, so be safe this weekend. Thank you, Will. 6:05 now. If you need a warm place to stay either during the day or overnight, the following places are providing warming centers: Augusta Rescue Mission on Walker Street, Garden City Rescue Mission on Fenwick Street, and the Salvation Army Center of Hope on Green Street. If you need a ride to the following locations, Augusta Transit is providing free transportation to 3 facilities. First responders in Glasscock and Warren counties are preparing for active shootings with drills. Officials say in a rural community with limited resources, training is essential. They add with incidents like the Uvalde shooting and school shooting hoaxes, it's important to be prepared. Officials are making sure all communication is fluid with the team. And during the training, they worked with Snipers Unknown Training Group and studied events from the past to make sure they don't happen again.
One of the lessons learned from the Uvalde shooting is that we had a breakdown in communication on the law enforcement side. So we're really trying to stress the point that we need to make sure we're communicating with our partners to make sure we save as many lives as possible.
Officials say it took nearly a year of preparation for this training. The sheriff says it's all done to make sure the safety of the community. After the infamous Olive Road Bridge was hit again, we're learning what it would take to prevent it from happening again. They say if it was not for a beam that came down, the bridge may have gone down altogether. The beam is set to protect the bridge structure on both sides. Officials say fixing it would be a challenge, as raising the bridge would cost them millions of dollars, but then lowering it would cause flooding all the time due to a creek behind it. And if they tried to close the road under the bridge, it would slow emergency vehicles down.
It's the railroad's bridge, so that would be the railroad's responsibility to do that. And we've talked to them in the past, and they would have to realign train tracks for miles in every direction, which is very expensive.
State law requires at least 2 levels of warnings before vehicles can reach the bridge. The Red Beam is partnered with more than 25 warning devices on Olive Road. After the infamous Olive Road Bridge was hit again, we're learning what it would take to prevent it from happening again. They say if it was not for a beam that came down, the bridge may have gone down altogether. The beam is set to protect the bridge structure on both sides. Officials say fixing it would be a challenge, as raising the bridge would cost them millions of dollars, but then lowering it would cause flooding all the time due to a creek behind it. And if they tried to close the road under the bridge, it would slow emergency vehicles down.
It's the railroad's bridge, so that would be the railroad's responsibility to do that. And we've talked to them in the past, and they would have to realign train tracks for miles in every direction, which is very expensive.
State law requires at least 2 levels of warnings before vehicles can reach the bridge. The Red Beam is partnered with more than 25 warning devices on Olive Road. 6:38 now. The flu season is still going strong, and you can see at this map from the CDC, both Georgia and South Carolina are seeing high levels of spread. While better than it was a few weeks ago, pharmacies nationwide are starting to see a shortage of cold and flu medicine. News 12 Sydney Hood spoke to local pharmacists about what impacts we're seeing in Augusta.
Cold and flu medications are hard to come by as pharmacies hunt for your over-the-counter medications like NyQuil and DayQuil. But after going on the hunt at local pharmacies here in Augusta, the findings are the shelves are not as empty as you might think.
Even on this page right here, you can see there's a good many zeros on here that they don't have stock of certain type of acetaminophen regular Tylenol.
A reality Vic Johnson sees every day behind his counter at Living Well Pharmacy.
Is that normal?
Yeah, it is now.
Zeros on a computer screen turn into empty spaces on shelves.
Very sporadic at the moment. They may go days and weeks without certain cold medicines, and then when we do see availability, we try to jump on it and stock back up.
Johnson calls it luck he's able to stock up on what's available.
We've been very lucky here at Living Well Pharmacy that we've been able to keep the inventory as close as we can to supply the people that need the medicine the most.
A similar kind of scene people walk into at Barney's Pharmacy.
Hey, did y'all need a cold medicine recommendation? The good news is that even if the product that you usually use isn't available, most all of the over-the-counter preparations are a combination of the same 3 or 4 things. So you can interchange products that you use and get basically the same effects.
And as the shelves continuously fill up and down, one thing to note is,
Have patience with us because we are doing what we can to make sure we take care of everybody.
now if you find your pharmacy is without your medicine, pharmacists suggest coming over to the counter to discuss those alternatives. Again, they want you to know that they are constantly working with suppliers to get you relief. Reporting in Augusta, Sydney Hood on your side.
6, a man has been arrested and charged in connection to a shooting that sent a woman to the hospital Tuesday in Aiken. Authorities say Giovanni Prysock is facing charges including attempted murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, and possession of a weapon during a crime. Arrest warrants say Prysock's accused of forcefully detaining the victim in the house while armed with a pistol. Public safety officers responded to a disturbance call yesterday when shots were fired. Authorities say 59-year-old woman was shot in the arm and upper chest. She was taken to the hospital and is expected to survive. A suspect is in custody after a hit and run killed 1 person Tuesday night. The crash happened on Columbia Industrial Boulevard around 6 o'clock. Authorities say Michael Kilgore is charged with first-degree homicide by vehicle and failure to appear. The victim has not yet been identified. We're learning more about an incident with a man who went to the hospital after being stun-gunned by deputies in Richmond County. The GBI says deputies responded to a home Monday night on George Road to get the man's mental evaluation. Deputies say the man was threatening to harm his family and became combative. That's when Deputy Madison Emerson used her stun gun on him and he became unresponsive. The man was then sent to the hospital. We're still working to learn if Emerson was placed on administrative leave. A 3rd suspect has been arrested in connection to the death of a man found at Strom-Thurmond Lake. Authorities say Thomas Berry was kidnapped in Augusta before his body was found in a Dodge Challenger on the side of the lake. Auburn Marshall is facing kidnapping and aggravated assault charges in connection to that incident. Desmond Moron and Flomo Belwala also arrested and charged in the incident.